Hello, it's Kobold, and welcome back to our GM's Guide to the Ghosts of Saltmarsh. The original adventure was written by Greg Vaughan. It was written in 2004 and published in the Dungeon Magazine, issue 106. Several years ago, a fearsome pirate named Sergal sailed the sea aboard his war galley, Tammeraut. Sergal and his crew showed no mercy to those who crossed their path, killing the crews of those ships that fell prey to him. Sergal was a mighty sorcerer, and his crew was bloodthirsty and skilled in both sailing and killing. Worse still, Sergal claimed allegiance to Orcus, the demon lord of the undead. Orcus did indeed seem to favor Sergal, who often benefited from strong winds in his sails and swirling currents that prevented his prey from escaping. In return, the pirate captain made sacrifices to the demon lord. Sergal eventually met his end just over 10 years ago, as he and his crew approached a naval post called Firewatch Island to plunder it. A priest garrisoned at the outpost implored to the sea god, Procan, for mercy. Whether because of luck or because the cleric's prayers were answered, a sudden storm swept through the area, capsizing Tammeraut and sending the ship to the bottom of the sea. With the ship's dying breath, though, Sergal made a plea to Orcus, asking for him to save him, and Orcus answered. Sergal and his crew were given the gift of immortality through undeath, but Orcus had a requirement of Sergal. It was to help him fuel the pit of hatred, an underwater rift to the abyss, which allowed Orcus to create undead. Sergal and his new undead army had their first plan, and it was to destroy the Firewatch Island. It was completely raided, killing everyone on the island. And after they were finished, they left everything there, waiting for someone else to reclaim the island, so they could have new prey. The book says that 5 years go by before anyone tries to reclaim the island, and the people who do decide to reclaim it are these hermits. And the biggest part to this adventure is rescuing and saving these hermits on the island. The book gives 3 hooks for this adventure. The first one is delayed delivery, and it is by far the worst one. It just has your players come to Uskarn, and then expects them to get swept up in the Firewatch Island drama. The book actually notes that they should have no timer on the message that brings them there, hoping that they're going to take the bait to move on to this secondary quest, which is actually the main quest. And I think that's just putting a lot of stake or hope in that the players choose that this seems more fun or adventurous than the first thing you baited them there for. Because what do you do if they take the bait and they want to go to the first thing? You have to railroad them now to, no, actually, sorry, I prepped Tammeraut's fate, you have to go this way. So don't do that one. The second one is Morley's Debt, which I think is a really good one. So there is an NPC merchant, Davis Ral, who has a lot of money owed to him. 8,000 gold to be precise. And Morley Tobe is a small dwarf who owes this fee, and he just happens to be one of the hermits hiding on Firewatch Island. And the last one is the one for the Saltmarsh Adventures. It's the one that tries to tie in Saltmarsh. It's given out by Welgar Brinehanded, the cleric of Procan in Saltmarsh. The book states that he has long maintained contact with these hermits, and recently they've stopped keeping in contact, so he's grown a little worried about them, and would like the adventurers to go out and just go check on them. And with that, your players are off. One small aside before moving on to the actual content of the adventure is that the adventure takes place really far away from Saltmarsh. So if you actually look up a Greyhawk map and look up where Uskarn and Firewatch Island are compared to Saltmarsh, it's a really far distance. So I recommend just either making the adventure a lot closer, or just have some nautical adventures prepped if they do actually take a ship all the way from Saltmarsh to Uskarn. The first encounter that the players will run into is the Harpy Attack. And this is where they round a bend and run into a woman holding a corpse, weeping over it. The scene quickly turns grotesque when she turns out to be a Harpy matriarch, and she, along with the nearby Harpy, attack the players. After the players defeat the Harpy matriarch and her fellow Harpies, they are left with the remains of Filbert, one of the members of the Firewatch Island Hermitage. If the players do a medicine check, or if they happen to have Speak with Dead, they can unlock a little bit of foreshadowing, learning that Filbert died from exhaustion swimming for 3 miles in open sea, or if using Speak with Dead, he talks about these horrors attacking the island. Next, the players will make it to the Village of Uskarn. It also might be pronounced Uskarn? I don't know. If you know how to say it, please let me know in the comments. This village is great. There is a lot of potential for political intrigue or even combat. Uskarn has its own little small council that guide this village, just like Saltmarsh. And honestly, the book could have added a lot here, and it's a little unfortunate that they didn't. So after the players explore the village for a little bit, depending on the hook that was used, the players will be pointed towards Firewatch Island to continue their adventure. Older Raster Hill, a grumpy, short-tempered half-orc, is going to be the person ferrying them, and he gives these trips once a day, every day at the same exact time, very early in the morning. So most likely, at least on the first day that they reach Uskarn, they won't be able to get to Firewatch Island immediately. Because this adventure loves flying things attacking them, once they finally reach the island, the first thing that they meet is Rasp, a monstrous Periton. After fighting him off, though, either slaying him or at least getting him to fly away, being too injured, they can finally get a good look at this run-down hermitage. The place is mostly deserted, save for a few rats and hags, but hopefully after a little bit of searching, your players will run into the survivors. The survivors, battered and scared out of their wits, are hiding down in the bolt hole in the cellar chambers of this hermitage. And this is where the players are stuck with a conundrum. Barrett, Glorfrin, and Morley Tobe, yes, the one with the dad, have both been stricken with blue rot, which cause these grotesque blue boils to appear on their face and back, slowly draining their constitution and charisma, until eventually killing them, turning them into a drowned one, essentially an undead. The conundrum is the players probably have a way to leave the island if they wanted to and secure their own safety. But the two with blue rot and even the hermit without blue rot wants to stay there to make sure that they are protected. And Oldar with his keelboat won't be back until tomorrow morning, so the players can leave securing their safety or stay and see if they can try to help keep these hermits alive. And this is the one we're hoping the players pick. And this is where it turns into an extremely cool tower defense-like game, where the players will be given opportunity and time to build up different defenses and to create a plan of how they're going to repel the oncoming drowned ones. The book does provide quite a few options for reinforcing the doors or using the arrow slits, but don't be afraid to let your players go off the beaten path of the book. Maybe they want to try to use Rope Trick or Mordenkainen's magnificent mansion to hide and outlast the drowned ones until the daylight comes, sending them back into the darkness. There's even using animal handling, or spells like animal friendship, maybe trying to recruit Rasp, the monstrous Periton. So now it's you, the GM, and you get to choose how you want the drowned ones to attack. The book does state that the Waves version is a weaker one, so if your party is maybe a little more RP heavy or not as tactically sound, this one seems to be the better option. But if they can handle it, I recommend the All at Once. It definitely gives a little bit more of that zombie horde feel, and hopefully will actually raise the tension, adding drama to this fight. After your players have either hidden out the drowned ones or repelled them off the island, they are met by Virgil. This turns out to be the familiar of Arceus, the Firewatch Island's wizard. Miraculously, the bird survived the slaughter that happened 10 years ago during the first attack on Firewatch Island. And Virgil allows the party an opportunity to put a final end to the onslaught of the drowned ones. This really is only hinted at by some of the lore from some of the books that are left by in the Hermitage, but if the players don't do this next step to actually put a close onto the Pit of Hatred. The book says that the drowned ones will start to attack nearby settlements, first most likely Uskarn, and then moving along the coast. And since with Blue Rot, it's kind of a White Walker situation where they're kind of gaining new recruits as they're killing people, it really could turn into a very dangerous situation for the entire realm. So if your party doesn't want to finish this situation now, it definitely could turn into a much larger and more dangerous thing later that they'll still probably most likely deal with. Virgil is able to help guide them to where the Pit of Hatred is. And that takes us to the next part of the adventure, the wreck. And the adventure has come full circle, with the party being taken to the final resting spot of Tammeraut. The ship sank 10 years ago. And here they'll face Cyrgil, captain of Tammeraut. Once the pit has been sealed and Cyrgil slain, this area has now been saved. Uskarn, once told of the heroics of our adventurers, shower the heroes with praise and even are willing to give the hermitage over to the players, giving them a nice little base of operations now. So I really like this adventure. It has a lot of openness. There's a lot that the players really have the driver's seat. They can kind of control where the adventure is going to take them with the whole base defense and how they can kind of use a bunch of different creative ways to solve this problem. Also, I like how the book leaves kind of an openish ending where if the players leave early, now their threat kind of snowballs and becomes an even worse threat later, or even if they defeat Cyrgil and his crew and seal the rift, now they've pissed off a god. They pissed off Orcus, and he's probably not going to let that go. So the adventure gives a couple ways where Orcus is now going to become a thorn in their side, sending out little death squads to hunt down the adventurers. Well, and that's it for this one, guys. I hope I was helpful. If I missed anything, please leave it in the comments below, or if you liked the video, please leave it a like. In our next one, we're going to be hitting the last of the micro-adventures, the Styes, which gives an excellent opportunity for the players to become mini detectives, searching for clues and finding out who did it. Until next time, bye-bye.